Hello, in this video lecture, we are going to learn some laws of chemical combination. So these are the laws which governs a chemical process, a chemical reaction. So these are known as laws of chemical combinations. So first of all, let me state you what are the laws of chemical combination. Then we will take up one by one. So under these laws of chemical combination, we will take up law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of mass. Then next one is law of definite composition by mass. Definite proportion by mass, or sometimes known as law of definite composition by mass. Next one is law of multiple proportion by mass. Then we have Gay-Lussac's law of combining volumes. Then the next one is Avogadro's law. Avogadro's law. So these are the 5 laws which is collectively known as laws of chemical combination. So these laws will govern chemical combinations or chemical reactions. So without wasting time, let's take up one by one. So first we have to look at these laws of conservation of mass. The first one is conservation of mass. So this law of conservation of mass, this was given by Lavoisier, Antoine Lavoisier. So this was the scientist who proposed this conservation of mass. So according to this law, that is law of conservation of mass, is proposed by given by Antoine Lavoisier. This law says in any given chemical reaction, mass will always be conserved, meaning thereby we cannot destroy mass or we cannot create mass. Means mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. That means the mass before the reaction will be exactly identical to mass after the reaction, whether the reaction is 100% complete or not complete. So if you are starting with 5 gram, then the reactant 5 gram is starting with, then after formation of product, the total mass of the system should also be 5. This cannot be 5.01 gram. So this is what we call as conservation of mass. So simply this law says mass of before reaction, mass of reactant before reaction is equals to mass after reaction. That means what is the total mass of reactant before the reaction should exactly the same mass must be present after the reaction. That means, so if the reaction is 100% complete, then we can say the mass of reactant is equal to mass of the product form. But if suppose the reaction is not 100% complete, so mass of the reactants before reaction should be equal to mass of the product plus mass left unreacted. So whatever may be, so mass before the reaction is equals to mass after the reaction. To another way, we can say mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. That means, suppose, what is the significance? Now the question is why there must be conservation of mass in any given normal chemical reaction. So now look at this. This conservation of mass is based on a principle known as principle of atomic conservation, POSC. Principle of atomic conservation. So conservation of mass is based on this principle, that is principle of atomic conservation. That means in a given balance equation, the number of atoms before the reaction should exactly be equal to number of atoms after the reaction. Now we are going for normal chemical reaction, not of this nuclear reaction. So in a normal chemical reaction, the number of atoms present in the reactant should be exactly identical to the number of atoms present in the product. Since the atoms are conserved, that means the total mass of reactant before the reaction should exactly be equals to total mass of the system after the reaction, because same number of atoms is present in the product as was present in the reactant. So if suppose some question is why there must be conservation of mass, because in a given chemical reaction, in a normal chemical reaction, there is a conservation of atoms. That means the number of atoms before the reaction is actually equal to number of atoms after the reaction. So now this means the reaction should be a balanced reaction. So take this example. Now we have carbon gas. This combines with oxygen gas, and when this gives you carbon dioxide gas. Now suppose look at this. We are starting with 12 gram of carbon and 32 gram of oxygen. So this is the reactant. Now starting with 12 gram of carbon and the 32 gram of oxygen. So look at this, mass of reactant before reaction will be equals to mass of carbon plus mass of oxygen, that is 12 plus 32, that is we have 44 gram. So mass of reactant before the reaction is 44 gram. So if you look at this, the reaction is a balanced reaction. We have one atom of carbon combining with two atoms of oxygen to give you one molecule of carbon dioxide. If you look at this, the mass of reactant before the reaction is 44 gram. Now look at this carbon dioxide. We have one carbon, so mass is 12. We have two oxygen, so we have 32. So this comes out to be 44, which is equals to mass of the product, assuming that there is a 100% conversion of this carbon and oxygen into carbon dioxide. So if you look at this balanced reaction, the starting mass of the reactant is 12 gram and 32 gram. So combining we get 44 gram. After this complete consumption of this carbon and oxygen, there is a formation of molecule of carbon dioxide. And in this molecule of carbon dioxide, we have one atoms of carbon. So atoms of carbon is conserved. We have two atoms of oxygen in both the sides, so atoms of oxygen is again conserved. Since the atoms are conserved, the mass will also be conserved. That means in any given reaction, there cannot be any loss of mass or any gain of mass. Mass can neither be created nor destroyed. So this is for all chemical reactions. So take some other example, look at this. We have hydrogen gas combining with oxygen gas to give you H2O liquid. So now look at this, starting with 2 gram of hydrogen and 16 gram of oxygen. So mass before the reaction is 2 plus 16, so this comes out to be 18. Now in this balanced reaction, atoms of hydrogen is conserved, atoms of oxygen is conserved. We have one atom of oxygen, one atom of oxygen. So the mass of this one molecule of water product is 2 plus 16, again this gives you 18. So now look at this, mass of product is 18 and mass of reactant is also 18. So in any given chemical reaction, mass will always be conserved. So but while using this conservation of mass, we have to keep in mind this is mass before reaction, mass after reaction. But if the reaction is not 100% complete, that means after reaction some unreacted reactant is left, then the mass of reactants before reaction should be equal to mass of the product form plus the mass of reactant left unreacted. That will give you the conservation of mass. So this is first laws of chemical combination, that is simply conservation of mass, which was given by Antoine Lavoisier. So this is first law. Now coming to the second law. Second law says law of definite composition by mass. law of definite proportion or composition by mass. Now look at this, in some of the books it simply says law of definite proportion or law of definite composition, but this law of definite proportion or composition is not in terms of atoms, combining atoms, but this is in terms of mass. This law was given by Joseph Proust. So he was the scientist who proposed this law of definite or proportion or composition by mass, and this law of definite or composition proportion by mass, this is applicable only for pure substance. Only for pure substance. So if the substance is impure, then this proportion or composition may change. Now look at this. Let me explain this first by use of an example, then I'll give you the statement. Now let's take this carbon dioxide molecule. We have a pure carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide can be prepared by, look at this, various methods. Now look at this, we have carbon plus oxygen. This gives you carbon dioxide. We can also have carbon monoxide combining with oxygen. Again, this gives you carbon dioxide. Now we can have metal bicarbonates. This on heating gives you carbon dioxide. So now look at this. Irrespective of the nature of the preparation of this carbon dioxide, we have a molecule of pure carbon dioxide. Now if you look at this pure carbon dioxide, we have, look at this, carbon and oxygen. If you look at these atoms, we have one atom of carbon combining with two atoms of oxygen. So this is 1:2 ratio. Now take the mass. So mass of carbon means one atom of carbon means 12U. Mass of two atoms of oxygen means 32U. So when we have pure carbon dioxide, so mass of carbon to that of mass of oxygen, this mass ratio will always be a simple whole number ratio. That is 3:8 ratio. Now that means if, so this law says when we have a pure substance, the pure substance, the combining atomic mass ratio will always be a simple whole number ratio. So this is a simple ratio. So if this combining mass ratio is other than this 3:8, this cannot be carbon dioxide. So whether this carbon dioxide is present in India, whether this is present in United States of America, whether this is the carbon dioxide of the Japan, this carbon dioxide will always have this CO2. So as long as this pure carbon dioxide is CO2, its mass ratio will always be 12/32 or 3/8. If any other ratio other than this 3/8, either this is not carbon dioxide or that is an impure sample. So whenever we have a pure sample, the combining atomic ratio is always a simple whole number ratio. So this is simple whole number proportion. Or sometimes we say, so the percentage of carbon will be 12/44 because total mass is 44 into 100, and the percentage of oxygen will always be 32/44 into 100. So this ratio, this percentage, this is the meaning of constant composition. The composition of carbon and oxygen in carbon dioxide will always be this value. So we cannot change this. So this is what we call as law of definite proportion or composition by mass. So this is applicable to pure substance as long as the substance remains pure, irrespective of the nature of preparation or origin. The combining mass ratio of the atoms will always be a simple ratio, or the percentage composition of the combining atoms will always be fixed. That is the meaning of law of definite proportion. So you can apply this to any pure substance. For any pure substance, this fixed ratio will always be maintained. So if substance is impure, this ratio will not be maintained. Similarly, take this case. Now we have a sample of H2O. So now consider this H2O, pure water. Now look at this atomic ratio. We have 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. This is combining atomic ratio. Law is not defined in terms of atomic ratio, but this is in terms of mass ratio. So mass, hydrogen of mass, 1 atomic mass unit of hydrogen is 1 atomic mass unit. So hydrogen 2 atom 2 unit, oxygen 16 unit. So therefore look at this, mass of hydrogen to mass of oxygen ratio, that is 2/16, so 1:8. So this ratio will maintain. If as long as 1:8 ratio is maintained, this is H2O. If this ratio changes from 1:8, then this cannot be H2O. This may be any other compound, or there is an impurities present in this sample. So if this is the case, then the percentage of hydrogen will be equals to the total mass of hydrogen is 2, total mass of this sample is 16 into 80, 100, and the percentage of oxygen will be, mass of oxygen is 16, total mass is 18. So this ratio will always maintain. So this is always a fixed composition. Okay? Law of definite proportion of definite composition by mass. So this is the law. So what we have to keep in mind is, this is applicable for pure substance, and this is measured in terms of mass ratio, not in terms of combined atomic ratio. So this is law of definite proportion or composition by mass. Now let's take the third one, that is law of multiple proportion by mass. Multiple proportion by mass. Law of multiple proportion by mass. This law was given by John Dalton So again, this law is in terms of mass, not in terms of combining atomic ratio. So in the first case, we have dealt with a single molecule, single pure molecule. Now in the second case, this law, multiple proportion by mass, says the combining atoms are same, but with the same combining atom, more than one product is formed. So whenever we have this same combining atoms gives you 2 or more than 2 products, then this law will be applicable. So now look at this. Let's take this example. We have carbon combining oxygen. Combining atoms are same. So this gives you carbon monoxide. This gives you carbon dioxide. Let's take these 2 oxides of carbon. There are other oxides of carbon which is not stable, so we will focus on this. So if you look at this, we have in this carbon and oxygen. So in this, look at this, we have 1 atom of carbon and 1 atom of oxygen. So 1 atom of carbon means 12U, 1 atom of oxygen means 16U. This is for carbon monoxide. In carbon dioxide, look at this, we have 1 atom of carbon, 2 atom of oxygen. 1 atom of carbon means again 12U, 2 atom of oxygen means 16 into 2, 32U. So this is for carbon dioxide. Now in these 2 compounds or 2 molecules coming from carbon and oxygen, we can keep the mass of carbon and take the ratio of oxygen, or we can keep the mass of oxygen constant and take the ratio of carbon. So now first, keeping the mass of oxygen constant, carbon constant, for a fixed mass of carbon, let's fix, in both the cases we have 12U, so let's fix this at 12U. For a fixed mass of carbon, so now the fixed mass, you can fix mass into 1, 2, 3, 4, that is of your choice. But since in both the case mass is 12U, so we can fix the mass of carbon to be 12U. So for the fixed mass of carbon, mass of oxygen in carbon monoxide divided by mass of oxygen in carbon dioxide. That means for a fixed mass of one atom, we take the mass ratio of other. So mass of carbon monoxide, so oxygen and carbon monoxide is 16. Mass of oxygen and carbon dioxide is 32. So this comes out to be simple ratio. So this is what we call as multiple proportion by mass. So this law says for the same combining atoms, if two or more than two products are formed, then for a fixed mass of one atom, the mass ratio of other will always be as a simple whole number ratio. So this is in terms of carbon. We can also fix in terms of oxygen. For a fixed mass of oxygen. So now look at this. In one of the case we have 16, other case we have 32. So we can either fix at 16 or fix at 32. Now let's fix at 16U. So now look at this. 16 mass unit of oxygen combines with 12 mass of carbon in case of carbon monoxide, whereas in case of carbon dioxide 32 units of oxygen combines with 12. So if 32 requires 12, then 16 will require 6. So therefore look at this. So this is keep this thing in mind. 32 mass unit of oxygen requires 12, but since we fix the mass as 16, so for 16 mass of oxygen, the mass of carbon required will be just half, that is 6. So therefore, mass of carbon in carbon monoxide divided by mass of carbon in carbon dioxide. So mass of carbon in monoxide is 12 and mass of carbon in dioxide for 16 mass of oxygen is 6. Again look at this, comes out to be simple whole number ratio. So again I am repeating. Multiple proportion by mass says the combining atom should be same, but they should have more than one product. For a fixed mass of one atom, the other mass ratio of the other atom will always be as a simple whole number ratio. So we can take some other examples. Look at this. Take this case. Hydrogen combines with oxygen when this gives you H2O and H2O2. So in this H2O and H2O2, so we have look at this H2O and H2O2. So hydrogen we have 2 atoms, oxygen 1 atom, so 2 atom is 2U, 1 atom is 16U. Hydrogen is 2 atom, so we have 2U, oxygen 2 atom, so we have 32U. Now look at this. Now let's fix the mass of hydrogen. Fix mass of hydrogen. In both the case hydrogen is 2U, so we fix at 2U. Now take the mass ratio of oxygen in both. So for a fixed 2 units of hydrogen, the mass of oxygen in water is 16. For a 2 mass units of hydrogen, the mass of oxygen in hydrogen peroxide, this is 32 again. So this comes out to be 1:2 ratio, which is again a simple whole number ratio. Let me explain with one more example. Now we have look at this. Nitrogen gas combines with oxygen gas. Now this gives you various oxides. N2O, NO, N2O3, N2O4 and N2O5. These are the 5 different oxides of nitrogen. So if you look at it, this is nitrogen, this is oxygen. So look at this, we have 2 atoms. 2 atoms means 28 mass unit. Atomic mass of nitrogen is 14. 1 atom, this is 16U. Nitrogen is 1, so we have 14U and 16U. Nitrogen 2, we have 28U. Oxygen is 16 into 3, 48 U. Nitrogen is 28 U, oxygen is 64 U. Nitrogen is again 28 U, oxygen is 80 U. Now let's fix the mass of nitrogen. We fix the mass of nitrogen, then we take the mass ratio of oxygen. Fixing the mass of nitrogen at 28 U, because in all this figure 28, 28, 28, 28. So look at this, 14 requires 16. So 28 U will require how many? 32 U. Now we take the mass ratio. So mass of oxygen in N2O is to mass of oxygen in NO is to mass of oxygen in N2O3 is to mass of oxygen in N2O4 is to mass of oxygen in N2O5. So this comes out to be, look at this, mass is 16 is to 32 is to 48 is to 64 is to 80. So this comes out to be 1 is to 2 is to 3 is to 4 is to. So this mass ratio of oxygen for a fixed mass of nitrogen is always be as a simple whole number ratio. This is what we call as multiple proportion by mass, which was formulated by John Dalton. This was the third chemical law of combination. Then the fourth law that we are going to discuss is Gay-Lussac's law of combining volume. Law of combining volumes. So this is law of combining volumes. Now look at this. This Gay-Lussac, this is a scientist who formulated this law. So before starting with this law, let me give you some important requirement for this law. First of all, look at this. This law is applicable only for gaseous system. Only for gas. That means whether the reactants are gas or products are gas, or both reactants and products are gas. This law is not applicable to solids and liquids. Whereas the first three laws, conservation of mass, definite proportion by mass, multiple proportion by mass, those laws are applicable to solid, liquids as well as gas. Whereas this law is applicable only for gases. So according to this law, now let me explain this law by taking an example. So we have looked at it. Suppose carbon solid combines with oxygen gas, when this gives you carbon dioxide gas. Now if you look at this balance reaction, in the balance reaction the coefficients can be considered to be its volume. So now look at this is solid, so law will not be applicable to this solid. So according to this law, now the coefficient of the gas oxygen is 1, so we can say 1 volume. This is 1, so we can say 1 volume. So whenever in this balance reaction the volume of oxygen is to the volume of carbon dioxide, this will always be 1:1. That means whenever gases react, they always react in simple whole number ratio. So this is applicable to gas. Take this carbon monoxide gas combines with oxygen gas, and this gives you carbon dioxide gas. So reactants and products are gas. So now we balance this reaction. So coefficient is 2, so we have 2 volume. This is 1 volume, this is 2 volume. So now in this reaction, the volume ratio of monoxide and oxygen will be 2:1. Volume ratio of monoxide and dioxide will be 1:1. Volume ratio of oxygen and carbon dioxide will be 1:2. So these will always be as a simple whole number ratio. Similarly, take this hydrogen gas combines with chlorine gas, and this gives you HCl gas. So now look at this. We have 1 volume combining with 1 volume, and this gives you 2 volume. So this ratio will always be as a simple whole number ratio. Now the next law is Avogadro's law, and again this law is applicable only for gas. Only for gas. So the last two laws, Gay-Lussac's law and Avogadro's law, is applicable only to gas, whereas the rest of the laws are applicable to solid, liquid as well as gas. So Avogadro is the name of the scientist who proposed this law. So according to this law, the statement says volume occupied by the gas is directly proportional to the number of molecules or the number of moles of gas. This says equal volumes of all gas under identical condition of temperature and pressure contains same number of molecules. Though we have different samples of gas, but all the gas are maintained at same temperature and pressure, then the number of molecules in all the containers will be having same. So this is irrespective of the mass of gas, whether the gas is a heavier gas or lighter gas. But if the gases are at same temperature and pressure condition, then the volume is directly proportional to number of molecules. But if volume is also constant, then the number of molecules will also be constant. So look at this, we say volume occupied by the gas is directly proportional to number of molecules of gas. So if this is at constant temperature and pressure and temperature being remaining constant. So if volume is also constant, then the number of molecule is also constant. That means different samples of gas, if they are maintained at same temperature, pressure and volume, then these different gases will have same number of molecules irrespective of the mass, whether this is a lighter gas or heavier gas. Some of the applications of this Avogadro's law is application of Avogadro's law. The first one is molar volume. So all ideal gas. So we are not into detail of what is ideal gas. We'll discuss later on. So all ideal gas will occupies a volume of 22.4 liter at STP. So at STP, all ideal gas one mole of an ideal gas always occupies a volume of 22.4 liter. So that means at STP, STP means temperature is 273 Kelvin, pressure is 1 atm. So this is what is standard temperature pressure. So under this standard temperature pressure condition, one mole of every ideal gas will always occupy a volume of 22.4 liters. So now look at this molar volume of oxygen. This is 22.4 liter. So this is volume occupied by 1 mole. Mass of 1 mole, as we have learned earlier, mass of 1 mole is equivalent to molar mass. So molar mass is 32 gram. So that means 1 mole of oxygen is 32 grams. So 32 gram will always occupy a volume of 22.4 liter at STP. So look at this molar volume of hydrogen gas. Again, this is 22.4 liter. So now look at this mass of 1 mole of hydrogen is 2 gram. So look at this is 32 gram occupying 22.4 liter. This is 2 gram occupying 22.4 liter. Molar volume of carbon dioxide, say, this also occupies a volume of 22.4 liter, and this is equivalent to 44 grams. So irrespective of the mass of the gas, 1 mole of any ideal gas at STP will always occupies a volume of 22.4 liter, or sometimes say 22400 ml. This is a very important application of this Avogadro's law. Then we have the second application of this Avogadro's law is known as vapor density. First of all, look at this. We are using the term density, but this is not a density, but a pure number. So vapor density is defined as density of an unknown gas divided by density of hydrogen gas at same temperature and pressure. So this ratio is known as vapor density. Now look at this. We are having a density of unknown gas or any given gas divided by density of hydrogen gas at the same temperature pressure condition. This ratio is known as vapor density. So numerator is density, denominator is also density. So this is a ratio of two densities. So this cannot be a density, but this is a pure number. So this vapor density is equals to molar mass divided by 2. So therefore this molar mass of any ideal gas is equal to 2 times its vapor density. This is a very important derivation. Now derivation is not required, so simply I am giving the final conclusion. So vapor density is equals to density of unknown gas divided by density of hydrogen gas. Now we can convert this density into mass per unit volume. So mass of any gas divided by volume. So at the same temperature this comes out to be a mass ratio, and mass can be again converted into molar mass. So this is the relation. So vapor density is half of molar mass, or we say molar mass of any gas is equals to 2 times vapor density. So this is a brief discussion about the laws of chemical combination.